And of course, let's put start with 2. Okay. And it works perfectly with no problem. Okay. The problem is this guy that you need to put get activity, or you could put get activity dot get application context, or get activity dot get base context, or get activity dot get context. There are several methods available that would provide context for you, or simply put get activity.
Okay, what's the difference between those? Get base context, get application context, and get.
But there are a lot of differences. One of these nights I'm going to discuss more about context for you guys. There are a lot of differences, okay? In some applications, in fact, if instead of get application context, you use get base context, it's going to crash. Okay? Last semester in 211D, I remember, one of my students had this problem, and he was telling me that I was constantly, his application is crashing when he was using cell phone. And I looked at it, it looked very good to me, but when I looked at the get base context, I thought maybe the problem is with that. I changed it with get the application context and everything goes working perfectly. And later on I explained to students that you cannot switch them around randomly. There's a reason behind each one of these methods, okay? One of these methods I'm going to give you more elaboration on the subject of context. It's very important stuff. Even some of the students still do not know why we are using context. Okay? So this was one problem, that it is totally okay to do that. Couple of students, actually more than a couple of students, 3 or 4 students, sent me email and also talked to me. They said, Abbas, one of our problems is we are, in this program, we are using anonymous inner class, okay, and we are not able to pass data to our anonymous inner class, okay? We are not able to do that. And again, I talked to students and to those students, and they told me that one of the problems that we have is anonymous inner class does not have a constructor. In a regular class, we are able to pass data through the constructor, right? With no problem. But in an anonymous inner class, since there is no constructor, okay, how can we pass data into it? Okay? So they stopped somewhere in this homework assignment because they want to pass some data into the anonymous inner class, and they were not able to do that. There is a way to do that, okay? But it's a little bit tricky. Let me show you how to do that, okay? There are a couple of ways to do that, okay? But one of the most often approach to do this, to pass data from outside into your anonymous inner class, is making your own setter, okay? Gather setter. Make your own setter, and through using a setter, you are able to pass it. Let me show you. I think I showed it to you, right? And a couple of other students. So I think this is good that I show it to everybody. Okay. Okay. Let's go over this subject. I'm going to write part of the code that would show you how you pass value of any variable from outside to the anonymous inner class, okay? So let's say you have something like this. Integer x equal whatever. Okay? And you want, this is outside. You want to pass x and its value to your inner class here, okay? So let me show you. Let's say, but we need to make inner class, right? Let's say you want to take care of your button, when you click on button, right? To catch the activity, you need to do what? To catch the whatever the activity, you need to you need to create your own handler, right? So I'm going to do it using anonymous inner class. Okay. Let's say your button is called BTN. Okay. So normally we do it this way. Button dot add action listener. You guys know that add action listener is the one that is taking care of what? Add action listener parenthesis new action listener. Okay, so far so good. Okay, now we are about creating this inner class. Private integer mx, let's say my x. Okay. The only method of the action listener is the action performed, right? Let's implement it. Public void action performed. But this is an example that we are using in Java, but with a little modification, you could do it on any kind of widget that you are using in Android, right? It really doesn't matter. So let's change the color. Okay, now. And the argument is, of course, action event. Action event AE. Okay, and now I'm going to say, let's say print ln x equal plus what I need to do is passing the value of x to my x and print it, right? So as a result, the output of this line should be x equal 1, right? But I haven't done it yet. So somehow, this should get into int, okay? So students had a problem of passing this to the inner class. Now let me show you. There are several tricks. I'm going to show you the way that I do it. Okay. The point is now right over here in this inner class. I'm going to make a setter. Let's make a setter. Okay. Private. Action listener. Let's call it set variable. Okay. And the argument is integer. And my x equal var. And return this. That's good enough. And close this guy. Okay. And close button. And right over here, put dot set var. X, because x is available here. Double parenthesis. One for that. And this is working perfectly. Set var is inside, right? But from outside, you could call set var, right? And pass your item here. And this is gonna get inside your program through what? Through this setter. Yes.
It's analogous to what you did there with the toast. You're calling toast, you're calling make test, and then you're immediately calling a method on the created object. You're doing the same thing here.
Exactly.
It's just that it's taking an argument rather
100%
Yeah.
correct. Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
okay.
Yes, good observation, yeah. Yeah. So you see how it works? So by making your own setter, whatever you want to call it, okay? And call this setter outside of this, you're calling it outside, right? You could pass it. See, X is gonna go to here, and right, this guy. So this is one trick that you could do whenever you want. Try this and see how it works. Okay, very often not very often. Sometimes we need to do that, right? And okay. So we discussed about it. The other thing is that a couple of students in this class sent me email, and they said they are trying to create a job. They are trying to create an Android application, okay, using command line. You know that Android creates, project dash name is such and such, dash whatever. And we could do that, right? It's very, very simple. One command line, and it's gonna create the application for it, right? So far, no problem. They said later on they want to pass this application. They want to pass this application to the Android Studio. Okay? Because Android Studio provides very good environment to test it, for running, for log it and stuff like that. But they always get trouble. Always get trouble. They cannot do that. Okay? And this is not very easy to do it, right? It's not very easy to do that. So they asked me if it is possible, first of all, or not, and if it is possible, how to do it. Yes, it is possible, and it is very easy to do that. There are a couple of steps that you need to follow. Okay? If you guys want, I can post these steps into our public directory, okay? And you guys take a look at it. This is pretty simple. You could make your application using command line, and after that you could port it into your Android Studio and do whatever you want with it, okay? Actually, maybe some of you are asking that what is the advantage of doing that? Why somebody has to make the application outside of the studio and after that port it into the studio, right? Well, there are many advantages. First of all, the way that Android Studio is creating the tree structure of Android is different from the way that command line does. Command line is more acceptable, in my opinion, than Android Studio. Some of the stuff are not very easily located or can be found. Even, for example, you want to locate r.java. r.java. Go and try r.java in your Android Studio. You have to go through really crooked way and find it somewhere hidden, okay? But if you create an application using a command line, r.java is in the folder of gen, G-E-N. Usually you could go to gen and find it right in front of you, okay? In fact, there are 2 copies of r.java available when you are using command line, okay? This is one of them. The other one is when you are using a command line, your initial r.java is pretty small. 4 or 5 lines or at most 6 or 7 lines, okay, depending on what version you're using. But when you are using Android Studio, you're going to end up with gigantic Java, and you don't know where all of those garbage coming from. And in your application, you even do not need it, just all there, right? Following. The other thing is Android Studio, in I think the latest versions of Android Studio, a couple of versions, do not extend activity. They are extending another class, which is the subclass of activity, right? And many users are asking me, what is the advantage of having that subclass, okay? The other thing is, when you are using Android Studio, you see there are some callbacks, like on menu stuff are automatically added to your source code that you say, what the hell is this? All I need is just on create, right? And there are many, many other things that you see are added automatically by Android, with Android Studio, but apparently you do not need any of them in your program, right? So by creating your application using a command line, all of those are stripped off. Okay, you're going to get very simple and small application, and easily could be ported to Android. The good point is when you're porting that to Android in the way that I'm going to show you, Android will not, actually Android Studio will not add any of those things. It means R.Java still is going to be in a gen folder. Following? So it's really, really nice. So you have very good development environment, but working on the very simple application that you have created online. Okay? Following? I'm going to post this for you guys. It's very simple. Even you are able to, if you know how to write shell script or bash, you know what bash stuff, you could make a very simple shell script that automatically will transfer your application that is made in using command line to Android Studio. Okay, it's very, very nice. I think we discussed about that, right? Yeah. So, good stuff, right? Actually, Aguilera is here, Francisco Aguilera. No? Okay. I remember last week I promised you to write the source code for how to use fragment dynamically. Do you remember? Okay, because I showed you static. How you do that is you're going to go to your XML file and put fragment, and stuff like that. Okay? But how to do it dynamically was a little bit complicated for some of the students, and that's why they asked me question. And finally, I said to them that I'm going to write an entire program for you on the board. Okay. This is a program that is again the same traditional example in Fragment. We have a list and we have a text view, right? I have a list of cars like this guy that you have, list of cars, and text view. You could select any item from your text, from your actually list view and text view. Okay, so you're gonna pick any item from your list view, any car, and after that the text view would display something for you, right? In landscape, both of the fragments could fit into your view, but in the portrait you have to have two different activities, right? So now we're going to do this using dynamism. Actually, we make it dynamic, okay? And see how it's going to work. So I promise you that I'm going to write almost everything for you about that, okay? Because I got really tired of receiving lots of questions about this subject and sending me programs and trying to asking me to fix it and a lot of problems. So let's write this for you guys, okay? Let's see if I can do something. Again, this is the classic, really classical example. could find it in many books or something, but you know, this is the way that I write. Okay, so you could take a look at it. Okay, let's start from there. First of all, we need several XML files, right? So I'm going to write XML files for you one after each other. After that, I'm going to write Java codes for you, okay? And we put them together. Okay, let's write. I'm going to start from the code over here. This is what this down, so we need to move it. Okay? So I'm going to start from here. Let's go for some colors. Okay. First of all, let's make first one. I'm going to make frag1 XML, frag2 XML, and master XML that is going to take care of putting all of them together, okay? So let's make frag1 and frag. The first one is taking care of the list view, XML for handling list view, okay? Because in Portrait, you have to have list view and you need to have two XML. One for list view and the other one for what? For your text, okay? In landscape, you need another XML that would handle what? List view and text view side by side. So we need to have a couple of XMLs to do that, okay? So let's take care of XML files first. I'm trying very hard to abbreviate them as much as possible because of the time and the number of amount of colors that I have. So let's make it XML, and whatever it is, the header of the XML, and linear layout. Maybe you, if you are doing on your system, it's going to be let's say relative layout. Okay, some IDEs automatically generate relative layout. Okay? Command line creates linear layout. This is again another thing that now I like it. Linear layout. After this, we're going to resume back to the subject of animation. We haven't finished animation. And linear layout has some items, look here, okay? And put some stuff here. The standard linear layout that is. So everybody knows what it is, okay? Some layouts, width and layout height and stuff like that. And finally, now we're going to have list. The only thing that I really do care about right now is the Android ID, because we're going to use this ID in our Java code. Android ID equal at plus ID, and I call it cars list of cars. Cars underscore list. Okay. And there are some other attributes if you want, layout width and layout height, and if you want to put a color into it and stuff like that. And finally, we are closing this guy, right? And we don't have anything else to do here. We are closing our linear layout. Linear. Okay, so this XML file is taking care of linear layout, right? It has having linear. It's actually having linear layout, and it's taking care of list layout. Okay, will be used by when we are in a portrait, right? Okay. Let's call it frag1.xml. How is that? Let's call it frag1.xml. let's make frag2.xml. I'm gonna put it here because we need to put a lot of code over there, okay? Frag2.xml is nothing but a text view, right? Again, we are using that in a portrait mode, side by side. So, question mark XML. Linear, again, linear layout, whatever it has, and here, close it, okay? And underneath of it, we have a text view. Text view. And Android ID. Program ID. Equal. At plus ID. And I called it selected option, right? Because this takes care of the item that is selected, right? Because you're selecting from here and show it here. Okay, selected option. Selected, let's call it OPT, option here long. Okay, so it looks good to me. And we have maybe some other item like Android layout width and Android layout height and stuff like that. And finally, we are closing this guy, maybe, and we finally close our linear layout. This layout, let's call it frag2. Okay, right. So first, so we have both. Now, let's get into the other one, which is taking care of both of them. Okay, both fragments. You need one XML to take care of both fragments. Okay. Let's do that. I'm going to call it main.xml. There, main.xml. That is taking care of both. Okay. If you remember, when I was doing that statically, okay, not dynamic, statically, I put fragment, two fragments under each other. Do you remember that? Or three fragments under each other. But now, since you want to do it dynamically, you don't put fragment over there, okay? You just make a kind of placeholder for fragments, okay? Let me show you how this can be done. Can I delete the toast from the board?
Yes.
Okay. Now we have again question mark XML. Okay. Linear layout. The only thing that I want to put here for you is, which is very important, is orientation should be what? Horizontal, because you want to put them side by side. Okay. So we're going to put whatever it is, Android. Orientation equals horizontal. And whatever attribute you have, doesn't really matter, and we close it. Okay? So, underneath of this, we're gonna have now two more linear layouts. Okay? Two more linear layouts. Okay? If you remember, we had fragments, right? But I'm not gonna put fragments, I'm gonna put linear layout, and there's a placeholder, okay? So let's do that. Linear layout. The idea of these two linear layout is very important. Android ID we call at plus ID, call it fragment 1. Okay. Although, because it's going to take care of the first fragment. Okay. Okay. And some other attributes, and finally let's close this linear layout. We're going to have almost the same linear layout here. Another one, linear layout, Android colon ID equal fragment 2. And some other items here. And let's close that. Okay. This is called main.xml. So far, so good, guys? So we need that, right? Okay. After making these XML files, now we're gonna write several Java codes, right? 2 or 3 Java codes, okay? You can easily find out what each Java code actually does, okay? So I'm gonna start writing Java codes here for you guys. I need to clean up the board with you, right? Okay. Guys, today I was in Apple company. I went over there for business, and I saw many people are very unhappy. I talked to some people. Have you heard that the FBI is forcing Apple to, you heard about it, right? You don't know about that? Well, the point was, FBI is still trying to find what is. Do you remember those, couples, husband and wife, were terrorists, right? And they were killed. And do you remember them? They found. I think it was. It happened in Southern California. Do you remember that? And the FBI has the Apple 5 from those couples, okay? From that husband and wife, Apple 5C, and they wanted to get into, and they found out that there was a lot of information, very sensitive information in that cell phone, but they could not get into that because it had a password and some kind of layer of protection, something like that. Okay, so they went to, and the other thing is in Apple, there is a mechanism that if you try more than 10 times to get in some information, something, and you fail after 10 times, Apple automatically is gonna wipe out the entire, all information. It means you're gonna end up with nothing there. This is part of the security. And if you already tried several times and they were afraid that everything will be wiped out. So they went to Apple and asked for help, okay? And they asked, and also they asked Apple that they should find a mechanism that this never happens again, and in the future, people very easily could, under some circumstances, would bypass the password and get into the system or something. The Apple CEO immediately came and responded, that first of all, whatever that we added for security regarding wiping out the information after 10 times failure or something does not belong to Apple 5. It belongs to some version after Apple 5. So nothing will be wiped out from that Apple cell phone. Okay, so you could continue and do whatever you want. But if you want us to get into it for you, so we could do that, right? Many discussions happened that, of course, none of them publicized, but maybe how maybe FBI was asking Apple to make some kind of provision that easily some people get into the cell phones and get information or bypass the password, this kind of thing. But today, when I was then talking to some of my friends over there, they didn't look very happy about that. So we discussed a lot about this subject today. Very important. Couple of students, not in this class, in the other class, sent me an email last night and said, did you hear about this? I said, yes, I heard that. And I said, are these rules also also true for Android cell phones? It means Android cell phones after 10 times try will clear data. I said, no, there's no such thing. So, no, the data in Android cell phones will be safe forever.
You can do only remotely.
Pardon me?
You can do only remotely.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, remotely.
My phone will erase. I have an Android, but if you try to access it 10 times. then
Yours is erased?
Yeah.
It never happened to me.
We said it can. 9, 8 times left, 7, it says if I keep trying, counts down.
Is that marshmallow?
What version of
Marshmallow?
Is this is in Marshmallow? Or
Maybe.
this is in Lollipop?
Let me see. I don't remember which one it is.
This is version 5 or version 6?
I think it's 6.
It's only the same since 6.
Because we are doing that every day and it never happened to me. It scared me.
Is there a setting? Yeah, if you make that.
5.1.1.
Oh, this is
Lollipop.
Lollipop. This is Lollipop. It never happened to us. Because I remember, I still use Lollipop. Lollipop has a mechanism that you are setting up. You could set it up that the data never be affected, no matter how many times you are trying that. Okay, and normally we put that kind of setting when we are testing our application, because application is going to go over and test and test and test. After 10 times, if everything is deleted, you're going to be in trouble, right? But there is a way that you could set it up that it never happens.
Yeah, I think you have to set up the encryption.
Exactly, that's correct. But in Apple, there is no way to set it up like that, okay?
In settings, you can turn it off if you want.
Oh,
It's an
yeah.
option. So you can have it erase or not erase after 10
In
failure
Apple?
times.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I just turned it on mine. I didn't realize it was on.
Okay, continue. Continue, guys. Yes? Oh, very good. Continue, guys. So I just a little bit deviated from the subject to bring everybody back again because I felt some of you are taking a nap. Okay, now let's continue. We made XML files. Now we are writing Java code. Okay. So by just looking at how I do that, you immediately know what the Java code is. Okay. Public. Class. I call it frag 1 activity, frag 2 activity, frag 3 activity, this kind of name. Because I could not find any good name for it. Any good name, okay?
That's a great name.
Any meaningful name, okay? Frag 1 activity. Let me tell you, the reason that I could not find a good name is when you are creating fragments, okay? These fragments, several fragments, could be used on different applications for different activities, right? Fragments are just like different pieces of a car. Engine, carburetor, this and that, and you could put them together, right? So these fragments could be used for many purposes, right? So you do not know such and such user is going to use your fragment for what purpose, okay? Let's say I have a fragment that is just displaying some text view, okay? Some text view, right? So this fragment could be used in a game. This fragment could be used for some educational actually applications. It could be used for whatever purpose, right? So how do I know in advance what kind of name I put on my fragment? I don't know, right? That's what normally we call it fragment 1, fragment 2, or frag 1, frag 2, something. This is the reason that I did not find any good name for that, right? Understand what I'm talking about? So, if you know this fragment is specifically for tic-tac-toe, okay, say tic-tac-toe frag 1, tic-tac-toe frag 2. But this is a general purpose fragment. It can be used for any kind of activity. Extend. Fragment. By now, all of you know that whenever you're making fragment, one very important callback should be overridden, right? And that is on create view. For activity, we have on create. For fragment, we have on create view, right? On create view is returning view, so be careful. Public. So let's have a look at that. Public. View on create view. It has 3 arguments. The first one is layout inflator. Okay, layout inflator. I call it LI, comma. The next one is a view group. I call it VG. And finally, the next one is bundle V. Okay. Okay. Now, what I'm doing now is the very first thing I need to do is creating a context, because fragment doesn't have a context. I need context. Okay. So let's create a context. To create a context, we need the activity, because context should be created in the activity, right? Following? That's what we are using. Get activity. Dot get application context would do the job for us. Okay. Get application context is okay. Okay. Good. Now we need to take care of view because we are returning view, right? Following view. When you are working with activity, view is part of the activity. You don't have to worry about it, right? Like context is part of it, view is part of it, right? So normally you just use this or something like that. But here you need to take care of it because you need to return view. Okay? Let's take care of it. View, I call it VW equal, okay. Inflator dot inflate okay R dot layout dot frag1 and false. Just by this line, okay, immediately you might find out what this fragment is doing, right? This fragment is taking care of our listing, right? Okay. So what it does is, in fact, is inflating our frag1 XML and bring it here and represent it as a view, right? This is the rule in Android that any kind of layout XML which you have eventually should be converted to view before being used. Okay? Understand? Before being used. So when, for example, you say button, you have a button b equal get view by ID, and you say r.id.btn, right? What in fact you are doing is you are converting the XML button that you have made to what? To view, right? It means you are inflating that, right? But since normally you are doing this inside the context of activity, many things are done under the hood. But here in segment, in fragment, you have to do it manually yourself. Okay? So many beginners do not know what the meaning of inflate is. Inflate simply means XML to be. XML to be. It's called inflate. Okay? And later on, if we have time, I'm going to show you how to do the reverse of it. Deflate. Okay? That you have a view and you're going to create automatic XML file. Right? This is exactly what Android Studio does. See how XML file automatically is getting created for you? Okay? So you could create your own deflator that you give your view and XML automatically being created for you. Okay? It's very nice subject. If I am in a mood, depending on my mood, if I'm in a good mood, one night I'm gonna I'm gonna show you how to do that. It's very interesting, right? You cannot find this in a book or in a textbook, but I'm gonna show you how to do that, okay? How to make, how to do the opposite of this. From XML to view, now we want to do it from view to XML, okay? Which is very interesting, okay? Okay, let's continue. Sorry for I deviated again. Okay, now we need to create an array of bunch of cars, okay? Final. String. Cars. I am doing this actually I'm hard coding that here. I could go and use a reference to array from XML, but that is it's too much work. this simple fragment, okay? Honda followed by BMW, followed by whatever, as many cars as you want, okay? Bunch of cars, okay? Okay, array is made. Now we're gonna make a list view, okay? That would have these items, right? So let's make a list. If you guys really want to learn more about fragment, there is the subject about list fragment, okay, list fragment. Because this shows how important is using list in fragments. Very often we are using list and fragment together. That's why they are made list fragment, okay? So if you're using list fragment, some of these steps could be skipped because everything automatically is done for you guys in the list fragment class. In that case, you're not going to use extend fragment. You're going to use extend list fragments, okay? But I don't have that much time to go over all of these with you guys.
I tried doing that, but I couldn't figure out how to find the list view in the list fragment.
Well, I said if you want, you know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over this for you guys, but I need to sacrifice another subject. But I'm gonna go over it if you guys want to know that. We have several other fragments that are very, very useful. Okay, I skipped over all of it because we don't have that much time. If you want, maybe I can spend maybe another 1 hour or something to give you explanation about some other type of fragments. Very, very useful. Oh, really? Okay, I'm going to talk about that. Sure.
Yeah.
I owe you that, okay? List view, a car list of cars, equal. Okay. Now we go do the same, very simple, creating the object of list view. So let's cast it. List view vw dot find view by ID, find view by ID, and r dot ID dot car. Did I call it car list?
Yeah.
Cars list over there, right?
Yes.
Cars list. Okay. So we get this, and we created the object of list view, right? So the object is created. Once the object is created, we need to populate our list view with the contents of the array, right? This cannot be done easily without using adapter. So adapter is used to do the job for us, okay? It's a little different from regular Java that you have array and you just put the data into it, okay? And it's ready to use. So you have to use adapter. Let's create the array adapter. Strength, because our items here are all strengths. AA, array adapter, equal new array adapter. Adapter, bracket, and the first argument of array adapter is the context, which we already have it, right? This was the reason that I created context, okay? C. Okay. And the second argument is the I'm going to write it down and you can guess what it is. So I'm going to put it here for you. This is Android. Android. Dot R dot layout dot simple underscore list underscore item comma name of our array the
Cars.
uh,
Cars.
name of our array which we call it cars, right? Okay. Okay. So, anybody here knows what it is, right? It's already defined. We didn't define it in any of our XML files. Already made, so we just use it, okay? Okay, so now we made the object of array adapter, and now we're gonna put them together. It means connect our list view with the array adapter. Okay? So cars list dot set adapter okay. So now our array list is populated with that. Okay. Okay. After taking care of the array list, now we need to take care of something else. Let me put it for you. It now is getting very interesting. Okay. Since this job is dynamic, right? Okay, this job is dynamic because it's not static anymore. We need the object of Fragment Manager. Fragment Manager is in charge of doing fragments dynamically, okay? So right now I'm gonna create and see how I'm gonna use it, okay? So let's make the final Fragment Manager. Let's create the object of Fragment Manager. Fragment Manager. Okay. FG, I call it FG. Maybe I could call it FM, right?
FM.
Fragment Manager. Equal. Get fragment manager. Get fragment manager is one of the methods of the fragment class. Okay. Fragment manager. Okay, now we did that. Okay, now what is when you have your list view and you find the right car, you need to click on that, okay? When you click on your list view, action will be created. So you need to catch that and do the job, right? So here, we're gonna take care of that action. Catch it, and after catching it, what should we do? If, this is very important, after catching that, we need to display it, right? When you want to display it, we need to think about, okay, do I have enough room on my cell phone to display list view and text view or not? This should be taken care right over there, right? If I have it, put them side by side. If I don't have it, I need to do what? I need to create another activity and transfer data data, it means the item that was selected from your list view. Transfer data to another activity, okay? You're gonna see, I'm gonna use bundle. And do the job over there, right? It means display the car over there, right? So all of this should be taken care right now. Okay? Following? Okay, let's do that. Okay, I'm gonna continue here for you guys to see what's happening. Let's put this separate. And let's put this separate. Okay, and I'm gonna use this. Okay. Okay, let's do that. Do we have call list? Call list.
Car underbar
Call
list?
list, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
It is car list.
Call list. Call list upper L. Call list dot set on item click listener. What does set on item click listener do? What is that? What is that for?
Setting one.
To set the listener.
So that,
Set on item click listener catches the event, right? The event that is created by pushing the button, selecting the item on your list view, right? So item is created, the event is created. If you don't put it there, no error, but you select the item, nothing is gonna happen, right? So now we need to catch that item, catch that event, and do some action, right? Now you see what we're gonna do. Okay? Guys, the reason I'm explaining this stuff for you is not insulting your intelligence, but believe it, I am receiving lots of emails from students, some of them from this class, and they're asking me questions that I immediately feel that they do not know this subject deep enough, okay? Memorizing that, okay, I'm right away, I'm gonna put a set on item, click and something, but you need to know why you do that. That's what I decided to write a whole program for you and go a little bit in slow motion and explain to you step by step what you're doing, right? That you understand. If some of you know that, be a little bit patient because I know some students here have problems, okay? Yes, sir.
Is that right if we say like everything named with listener is gonna catch event for something?
This catches only one event.
No, but I mean like everything that have listener on the name, like set on click listener or on click listener, everything having a listener is that because it's gonna catch event for something?
Well,
Is that all right to say that?
Well, yes, actually, this is the convention in Java, not in Android.
Oh, okay.
That to catch any event created by any active GUI, any active widget, we need to implement the
A listener responsible for that.
Following, implementing a listener simply means we need to implement one or more methods that are in that interface. This is the name of the interface that I'm going to put in there right now for you. In this interface, normally there is one or more methods that need to be all implemented, okay? So, if you do not want to do that, that's totally okay. You could create another class. You could say class ABCD implements on implement on item click listener, and after that do the rest. But this is much easier putting them together in an inner anonymous inner class. Okay, that's what I'm doing. Okay, now new. Now I'm going to put the name of the interface. This is the name of the interface I put there. Okay. What's the name of the interface? On item click
Click
listener is the name of the interface. Okay? On item click listener. Okay? And I put parenthesis. I don't close this parenthesis because I'm gonna do the implementation right over here as part of the argument. Okay? So implementation of the method will right away stop. Okay? Hopefully thankfully there is only one method here to be implemented, and that is what? On item click. Okay? Let's go for it. I'm gonna put the brace here. At override public void on item click is the name of the method on item click. Okay, so in fact whenever you click on any item in your list view, this method will be fired up, will be invoked. Okay? So whatever we put inside this method is the real action that is going to take place when you click on your list view, right? See what action you want. Your action would be what? Our action would be displaying the result, right? Displaying the result using what? Text view, right? Understand? But now we're going to check, do we have enough room to display text view or not? Now see what we can do. Okay, okay. Everybody's following me so far? Good? Okay. If you are getting bored, let me know. Okay? So now, on item click listener has 2 or 3 arguments. The first one is adapted view. Which is a generic type of class. That's what we are doing this, and we call it parent. And VUV, and integer position. Position, it means where in our list view the item was selected. Integer position. And finally, the ID that we are not using any of these, okay? In this simple program, okay. Now what should we do? Yes?
I understand what position is. What is ID?
Well, any this is a very good question. Any widget, okay, any widget that we are using, like button, like list view, like menu, whatever widget we have, okay, has 2 types of ID. One ID is the one that we are creating manually inside our own XML file, and the other one is system ID. Okay, that is a system ID. In some very special case, we need to use this. One of these nights, again, if I may, I'm gonna give you an example about how, under what circumstances we need both of these IDs. ID that we have created in XML for list view, for example, or for button or whatever, and an ID that we are using here. Okay. Okay. But for this simple example, this ID is totally, nothing. We don't. In really position, we don't really care about that in this example either. Now the most important part is gonna take place, and that is checking if we are using portrait or landscape. Okay, so let's take care of this. if you have FM, right? Not FG, right?
FM.
Dot find fragment tag frag2 if it is not equal null. This is a very important check, okay? I have not made what frag2 is, but you're gonna see a little later in another Java code, this will be made, okay? If fm.find fragment tag frag2 not equal null, it simply means, just write it down and you can guess what it is. If it is not null, then what should we do? If it is, let's create it. If it is not null, we need to create text view. Text view TV equal. Oops, text view. We need to get the text view. Text view, we call it what? We called it
Select opt.
selected opt. Okay. Text view. Let's get that.
Can be.
We can. We need to get. We need to create the. Okay. Text view. Get activity.
Oh.
Activity dot find view by ID, because find view by ID is one of the method of what? Activity, right? We don't have it, so we need to create activity, and after that use what? Find view by ID. Okay. Find view by ID. Parenthesis, and go for r.id select opt. Okay? r.id dot selected opt. Okay, if it is, then create the text view, and right after that. Okay, create text view. I need to put, something is not right. I need to put brace here because I need to put a couple of other lines here, right? Okay, let's do this here. Fair? Guys, let's go for a short break. Some of you are sleeping in the back of the class. So, we finished, actually partially finished here, that we create text view, and now we need to do something, right? So please do not change this on the board, because I need to come back and add more here. Let's go for the short break, guys. So far, are you